Hey, strangers. Welcome to another episode of The Strange Sessions. We are your hosts, Creepy Krista and Crawly Kurt.
Get to be Crawly?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's better than creepy.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I want to be Crawly now.
Neither of them are really good.
We're both Creepy Crawly.
But thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, it's October, so we have to come up with a
You were happy. You
spectacular
were
intro.
happy when it was October.
Oh, it's like 50 degrees and sunny and the
we went from being hot
fall day
to like really cold, and we've had nothing but nonstop rain and fog.
Flash
and,
flooding.
yeah,
Like, it's been crazy.
Yep,
So
yep. Especially down in Sheboygan in your area, there's been a lot of flooding.
There has been.
Yeah, but the sun is out today. It's cool and brisk, and it's a perfect October morning.
It is. I want to go run through a pumpkin patch.
I thought you were going to say run through a sprinkler. You don't want to.
No, I don't want to do
a
that.
sprinkler.
It'd be a little chilly.
Jump right into our shout-outs for our new listeners, and we have quite a few new strangers since last time. Oh, and I wanted to say that my last name being Konechny, I know it's impossible to pronounce. So if you guys really want me to pronounce your name right, maybe send me a private message telling me phonetically.
Yeah.
Like, I actually took
some of these. I think you do a good job, though.
Thanks. Well, if it looks like a complicated name, I go to YouTube or the internet, because sometimes they have how to pronounce names. So sometimes I look at that, but sometimes I don't. So if I massacre your name, I'm sorry.
It's a crapshoot.
It is a crapshoot. So welcome to our new strangers, and those are Sir She Shrain Rocket. You remember? You said that.
I said good luck with that one.
Yep. I didn't do too bad.
Do you think that's like a made-up name?
I think so.
Okay.
Sir She Shrain Rocket.
Okay.
Whitney Carpenter, husband to Josh.
Well, wife, but...
Yeah. It's early. My coffee hasn't kicked in. It's super early in the morning.
That's great.
Hyro Havala. I think that's right. Hyro Zavala? Something like that.
Is there a Z on it?
Z. Zavala.
Oh, okay.
Start all over.
No, I like the Whitney thing.
Okay. Sir, let's start over. Sir She Shrain Rocket, Whitney Carpenter, Hyro Zavala, Brittany Michelle Ballou, Laura Holmes, Tara Thornhill Barton, Justin Clowers, Ken Martha Becker. I'm guessing that's like a couple that... I have friends that are couples that do just one Facebook account, which is actually a good idea. This last name kind of stumped me, but I believe it is Jason Bashad, Dees Wapstra, Riley Gilliand, Travis Malden, Megan Sexton, Elisa Kahn, and just this morning we had Anne-Marie Baldassar and Aaron Tenor join the strangers.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. And a shout out to Lawson Duvier, I think, Duvier, who sent us an email suggesting some books, but says that he kind of doesn't do the social media thing, which I completely get.
Totally.
So welcome, new strangers. Sorry if I massacred your name.
Welcome. And I wanted to give a shout out to one of our followers on Instagram. I assume it's a he. It might not be a he, because it's Logan's Instinct, and I think we figured out that Logan isn't always a...
No, because we have Logan.
Yes.
One of our listeners she's a she.
And their comment on our DB Cooper episode was shout out from Norway, super podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if we have other listeners from Norway, but
I love Norway. Cool. I'd really like to see Norway.
Me too.
Do we have any
housekeeping? Let's go to Norway.
Let's go to Norway. When we do our tour, we will stop in Norway.
Okay.
When we do the Strange Sessions World Tour.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything new and exciting?
I don't think so. Do you want to talk about our hate mail?
We could talk. It wasn't really that bad.
It started out not great.
Yeah, because I was a little...
Someone took the time to reach out to us on Facebook to say...
Should I read the...
Sure, go for it.
She said... Listen to your podcast on Chris Kremers and Lizanne Froon. Wish Krista had done some research before you broadcasted. Would have been so much better. And the use of time for peanut talk, what a waste.
Peanut talk?
We must have had some kind of taste test involving peanuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I replied and said, sorry, this is our format now. This is what we do. If you don't like it, sorry.
We all know I don't do research.
You do sometimes.
Well, no, for the mini mysteries, yes.
Yeah.
But our typical episode is you pick out the topic and I show up and you educate. And I can ask questions that the listeners might have, but they can't ask because this is not a live show. So I feel like I don't know. I think it's a good dynamic for me to come in kind of not knowing a lot about it.
I agree because then... You can, I already probably have some preconceived notion of what I think it is, and then you can kind of persuade me one way or the other with your explanations.
Poke holes in your theories.
Poke holes in my theories. So I don't know. I think it works the way we got it. And if somebody listens to the podcast and they don't like it, that's okay.
Yeah. We're like cilantro. Yeah. You love us or you hate us.
You don't have to send us something saying what you didn't like because we're not going to change. It's like, well, we've been doing the taste test for this long, but so-and-so doesn't like it, so we're going to scrap that.
Yeah. Or just fast forward through it.
Yeah. So no, we're pretty much,
we kind of like
we
the
might
format
tweak
we
it
have.
here or there, but I think we're pretty much where we're going to be as far as what we do.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So
for the positive feedback that we get, and we have a small following but a very loyal following.
Yes.
It, to me, the handful of people who it's not their cup of tea, that's fine. Go buy some coffee.
Exactly. As I drink my coffee.
But I like coffee too, so
do I.
But we digress.
That wasn't, and then she wrote back. We wrote back and forth a couple times, and she wasn't like mean. But
I wanted to leave a good taste in her mouth. I didn't want it to, at least that way she can at least say that. Well, at least they were cool about it.
Because my first response was just a sorry with the guy.
And I'm like, don't apologize.
The emoji of the guy shrugging, like, what are you gonna do?
I was like, don't apologize. We have nothing to apologize for. But I'm glad you came back with "we're not everybody's cup of tea," because that's what it boils down to.
I was also in the middle of watching something when I got that, so that's why I responded so shortly.
That's funny.
Do we have anything else?
I don't think
have you
so.
Done anything exciting?
No weird stuff has gone missing at my house lately. No weird,
I've had a ton of
red lights.
Synchronicities have been crazy.
Well, tell me about them.
I actually had one driving here. There's a new band I'm obsessed with. I mean, they're not a new band, but it's an old band.
They're new to you?
Yeah, that's Churches.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny because for like the last couple of years, I have friends that are like, I know you. I know what you like. You're going to fall in love with this singer from Churches.
Okay.
And I've had multiple people tell me that. So I never listened to him or watched a video. And one day it showed up in my recommended music. So I watched their video. I'm in love with the singer.
Okay.
And
I'd have to look them up.
She's cute, Scottish.
Of course.
Yeah. So I listen to all their stuff and I really like it. So yesterday I bought two of their last albums on Amazon.
Okay.
So I was driving here this morning and there was one point where I went like over a stream or something like that, and there was a field to the side of the stream where it was flooded because the water was so high. And I was looking at that and I'm thinking, God, that water is so high. And then in the song that was playing at that exact moment, she said the water's so high.
Oh, that's weird.
Or something like that. And it actually made me dizzy because it was like so weird that it just coincided like that.
That is crazy.
But that's been happening all the time lately. Once or twice it might be just a coincidence, but it's been happening. I've been starting to see the 1111s again that I see all the time.
Have you been doing the rando nodding?
No, I haven't randonauted lately. I've completely forgot about it, so I need to get back out and do that. But it just kind of amazes me that, yesterday I went to the doctor to make my appointment for my glasses and my eye exam that I haven't done in 15 years.
Jeez, I don't wear glasses and I get more frequent eye exams than you do.
But I pulled into the clinic where I was going to go in, shut off my key, and I just happened to look at the clock and it was 11:11. And the same time I looked at that, the guy on the radio station said 11. So it was like a bunch. Yeah.
Weird.
So just a bunch of weird stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
I'm usually so in my head that I don't notice that stuff. I need to be more mindful. I'm a very observant person. Trust me, when it comes to like my personal safety, I always know what's going on around me.
I work on mindfulness because I am. Anybody that knows me knows that, like, even when somebody's talking to me, they can see that I'm kind of not there because I am always either worried about something in the future or
you're like
or
5
thinking
steps
about
ahead.
the past.
Or you're already ahead of the conversation.
Yeah. So I need to, that's one of the things I need to work on is to be more
in the
I
moment.
know you're going to say you guys have Kurt moments.
Yes, where we're all having a conversation and all of a sudden Kurt will cut in with a completely different conversation like we've already been having it and we're just supposed to know what he's talking about.
So I have to work on the mindfulness
pulled a Kurt
because
on us.
I am never in the moment. I'm just not.
No,
and that
I'm not
sucks
either.
Because I need to be. And
I'm
I think
totally
that's one
in
of
my
the
head.
reasons why I was happier when I was younger because I was more in the moment and now I'm not.
Yeah.
So
I also think that's why, this is my theory on why, boy, we're really digressing. We have plenty of time.
Okay.
This is my theory on why time seems to speed up when you get older. And I think it's because when you're a kid, you are 100% in the moment at all times.
Oh, yeah.
You're not thinking about what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow. You are just in the moment enjoying what you're doing. And as you get older and you start this whole adulting thing, suddenly you have all these things you're worrying about and you're never truly in the moment. And so you miss the moments that are passing you by.
You do.
And before you know it, it's like, I thought it was just Monday. It's Friday already.
Yeah.
Well, that's why our lives go by fast.
Because I'm constantly worried about, my job stuff, what's going on, or I'm thinking about what I could have done differently yesterday or regretting something I did.
Yep.
So I never live in the moment. So I need to get better with mindfulness. We'll both work on that.
Yeah. I'm actually doing these 5-minute meditations before bed.
Nice.
It's Headspace. I recommend Headspace.
Oh, I have Headspace on my iPod phone.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
It's just something to start.
I need to try meditation, get back into it.
Even when I'm driving to work and listening to a podcast, I realize I haven't listened to the past 15 minutes because my head has been elsewhere.
Yep.
Like, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
Now I have to rewind the dumb
Exactly.
thing. We'll work on that,
mindfulness talk with Kurt and Krista.
Yes. Or lack of mindfulness.
Lack of mindfulness. I just wanted to say we're approaching the end of the season very quickly. Yep. So hold off on sending us any food. Yeah. We'd still love postcards.
Although it's pretty cold where we record, so it might be okay, but maybe hold off until January.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Is there anything else?
How many episodes do we have left after this one?
3.
Okay.
We got this one.
Wow.
And we got the topics nailed down. Mm-hmm. I'm already starting next seasons, and there's big ones that we always talk about doing that we haven't done. We want to do MK Ultra, mind control stuff.
Yes.
The Illuminati. Yes. I want to do synchronicities because we always talk about synchronicities.
I wish we could get Joe on for Illuminati.
Yes. Yeah, definitely for the Illuminati one.
I'll see if I can work that out.
And I want to do near-death experiences. So we have a lot of stuff left that we want to do. Mm-hmm. But, I like the big ones, but then I like to have the quirky little ones like the Captain Coochie's key lime pies and stuff like that. So working on stuff already for next season. Also
wanted to mention that we've had Rhonda and Mark Zahn on, and their son Devin, which we've mentioned repeatedly, and he submitted some stories. Yeah. Yep. He reached out and said he'd love to be on the show. So we're going to work him into next season as well. Season 4, which is crazy. Season 4. Anyway.
I know.
Maybe he can pick the topic.
Yeah.
We'll let him pick the topic for the episode.
That would be cool. So
we'll have a guest lined up. We'll get Corey back on, of course.
Yeah, we got to get Corey back on. Cool. I think the problem now is Rhonda doesn't want to do it because it's so early in the morning. She's not a morning person, and we're here. Oh, yeah. We're here at what? I was here, I think, at
7. Well, I was
here at 6:45.
Yeah. Geez.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
Okay. Move on to
our taste test.
All right. I'm a little worried. Kurt sent me a text yesterday with these emojis that have me worried about the taste test. Yeah, like the
unsure emoji and I was going to hold off on this one until our next episode because I think it would be more appropriate for our topic next time, but I want to get it out of the way because I know they just came out and I know somebody is going to suggest it in the group.
Okay.
So it is October now, so now they're starting with the Halloween scary theme things. So
okay. I'm oddly excited about this. Skittles. It's a share size. Ooh, zombies. This is cute. So do you think they're weird flavors?
Read what it says underneath there.
Most taste delicious, but some taste like rotten zombie. Oh, boy. So this is like our hilarious...
jelly beans.
Was that our first taste test?
That was our first taste test. That's how the taste test thing got started, was because we did the news stories for the year, and every news story we tried a jelly bean. That's basically how the taste test started.
I love it.
So I figure we'll just pop one every now and then until we both have a nasty, rotten flesh flavored Skittle.
Well, that just sounds delightful.
Yep.
So there's mummified melon, blood red berry, petrifying citrus punch, chilling black cherry, boogeyman blackberry, and then there's rotten zombie as a question mark.
Yeah, because you don't know which one you're going to get. It's going to be rotten zombie. So
I
figure we'll just
dump a bunch out here. And
we'll just pop one every now and then, and we'll try it.
Oh God. Okay.
The girl that sold this to me at Walgreens said, she looked at it, she said, one of these are nasty flavored, right? And I said, yeah. I told her that we do a podcast where we do taste test things. And she said, well, I'm just letting you know I tried one on break and I didn't know. And she said, I almost threw up down the front of my shirt.
Great.
So
something to look forward to. Okay. Well, we got to try one to start with, right? What color are you going with?
I'm going to go with green.
Green? Okay. Yep. I'm going with blue.
Ready?
I'm nervous now. Okay. Let's do it.
Oh, this one was good.
Berry. I got berry. Okay. All right.
We'll just pop them randomly every now and then.
Sounds good. This is good. It was very good.
Okay, before we dive into our main topic, we want to thank Lucy Danny Castro, who sent us a postcard.
Yes.
From Very San pretty. Antonio, Texas.
I love it.
So thank you so much. I still need to get our bigger board so we can put all our postcards on there.
Yeah, we resorted to stacking them up and putting them in a book.
Yeah. So by next season, we will have our bigger, what do you call that?
A whiteboard. Magnetic whiteboard.
Another Skittle?
Sure. Okay, I'm taking a red one.
I'm taking a...
You're also taking a red one. This is a good one.
So is this one.
Okay. This is like berry flavored again.
Maybe we won't have any bad ones.
I suppose they're all sort of berry flavored. That'd be funny if we never got to a bad one.
I'm curious to see what rotten flesh tastes like.
I know. After those Jelly Bellies, I feel like I can handle.
After the fish
Actually,
one.
After several of the things we've eaten, I feel like I can handle anything.
Okay, one more.
Okay. I'm going for green.
Purple.
Wait.
Oh, good.
Melon.
Okay. One more.
You're dying to get a crappy one.
I want to get a crappy one. I'm worried because... Ready?
I still haven't swallowed the last one. Orange.
Okay.
Okay.
On to our main topic, which is... I need to shut off my phone. I got a text. I need to shut off my phone.
Actually, that was that a messenger, Facebook Messenger?
It was a Facebook Messenger beep.
I know the sound.
Okay. Okay. One of these seasons, we're going to get this all ironed out and have everything good.
I like our small town feel.
I've had a lot of people tell me that they're worried with us getting more and more fans. They don't want us to lose our small town feel, and I don't think...
I'm not capable of it.
I'm not either. I don't think either.
This is who I am.
I don't think either you or I are capable.
I don't want to do live shows. Like, I don't know.
The thought of doing a live show makes me want to pee.
I know people are talking about a meetup, but that is so...
That scares us, too.
It's really freaky to me.
You
guys can meet up.
We were talking about that before we recorded, but I like the idea of meeting... not fans, but listeners one-on-one, as opposed to meeting a bunch. I'd be a wreck.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason I like podcasting. It's because we're in a room by ourselves in a remote location where nobody can see or hear us.
I don't think we're ever going to lose our small town field.
No, we're too introverted for that.
Where we record this, you don't get smaller than this town.
Yeah. You blink and you miss this place.
Pretty much. So
you're going for another one? You didn't warn me.
Oh. I'm just going to pop them.
You're just going to pop them? Okay. You're going to pop and lock?
Pop, lock, and drop.
Nope.
Okay. So tonight's topic is the Phoenix Lights.
I'm excited.
And I
note, I tried to listen to a podcast about this on the way here, and it would not load. So that was my attempt at doing research.
I'm finding there's a well-known podcast that people like that we talk about that I tried listening to, and I gave it 5 minutes, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I don't know if I didn't like.
Was it? We don't have to put this in there.
No, I'll tell you. I'll give you a hint. It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've tried listening to, and I had to shut it off.
I did. I was out for a walk, and I listened to the 5 minutes, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
And people rave about it, but I just could not do it.
There's also another
maybe it was that one particular episode, but
it
just
They're
rubbed
not
me
all
the wrong
winners.
way. No, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
There's another one too.
I love that one.
I couldn't get into it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I couldn't get into it.
This
is really annoying for our listeners because we don't want to talk bad about other podcasts.
No,
but
that's one of my favorite ones to listen to.
I think that's just how it is, though.
Okay.
You have to click with the host, as we've said before, and hey, if people don't click with us, I get it.
That was Kurt and Krista throw shade at other podcasts.
But in a really pleasant
and a nice way.
In a respectful way.
So, back onto the episode topic, the Phoenix Lights. And I remember when this happened. So, the Phoenix Lights have been called the greatest mass UFO sighting in history, which it was. It was a huge deal. It's believed that thousands of people witnessed this phenomenon that night. Accounts vary from hundreds of people to over 10,000 people. There's no way to really know.
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people didn't report it.
But it was over Phoenix. It was over this huge area. So it's probably close to 10,000, if not more. One of the reasons that so many people witnessed it was because many Arizonians.
I like it.
Okay. It's because many Arizonians were outside stargazing that night to observe the Hale-Bopp comet an unusually bright comet that was approaching its closest path to the sun on April 1st.
What year was this?
I just touched my tongue to the microphone foam. Ugh.
What tastes better, the Skittle or your microphone?
The microphone foam does not taste good. You know, it was 1997.
Okay, thank you. Uh-oh.
No, you got
I
one?
think I might. Oh, I got a gross one.
What is it?
It tastes like sour milk or something. Oh, that's terrible. What did
I wish you could
here?
see her face.
It's awful.
Well, now I'm scared to get it.
Oh, that's gross.
You don't have to eat anymore now. You're good.
Oh, thank you. Although I need to get this taste out of my mouth.
You'll probably end up getting another nasty one.
I understand why she... Oh, yes, thank you. I understand why she warned you, because if you didn't know that was in there, you'd be like, I want my money back.
I'll get one. I'll get one during the course of the episode.
Oh my God!
I wish you could see your face.
It sticks in your teeth, so it just keeps coming back. Oh, that's disgusting. It tastes like sour milk and what garbage smells like.
Yum.
Oh, gross. Okay.
One of the reasons that so many people witnessed it was because many Arizonians were outside stargazing that night to observe the Hale-Bopp comet, an unusually bright comet that was approaching its closest path to the sun on April 1st. The strange story of the lights begins at 6:55 p.m. on the night of March 13th, 1997. Most people agree that there were two separate events that happened within a few hours of each other. That was one of the things that I kind of didn't realize going into this. It was that there were basically two separate events. I thought it was all one. I thought it was all that one that you see where people had the video footage or the camera footage of the lights in the sky over Phoenix. But I didn't realize there was a first part to that.
Okay.
At 6:55 p.m., a man in Henderson, Nevada?
I say Nevada.
I do too. At 6:55 p.m., a man in Henderson, Nevada reported seeing a V-shaped object flying overhead. He stated that the craft was around the size of a 747 or a large passenger jet. It was making a sound that sounded something like rushing wind, and it had, quote, 6 lights on its leading edge.
Did you take this from Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Because I read that last night, too.
A lot of this
like
was taken from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I think I only used like 4 or 5 different articles during this.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was from Wikipedia.
I read that last night.
Oh.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, isn't that horrible? It like comes up through your nose. Oh, now I wish you could see Kurt's face. He can't even like speak.
Oh, it does taste like garbage smells.
It does. And sour milk for some reason. Oh, gross.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. He's washing it down with coffee.
Ugh. Put these away.
We're angry at these now.
Yep.
No more Skittles.
Nope.
You should put them in like a zipper bag and give them to someone and be like, oh, I thought of you.
Some Skittles.
These are for you.
Ugh. Yuck.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where was I? Ugh. Okay. I'm all ready to eat this pack of hot sauce to get that taste out of my mouth. At 8:15 p.m., an unidentified former police officer from Paulden, Arizona, was driving when he saw what he described as a cluster of reddish or orange lights in the sky, made up of 4 lights together and a 5th light trailing them. According to the former police officer, each of the individual lights in the formation appeared to consist of 2 separate point sources of orange light. The witness returned home and continued to watch the lights through binoculars until they disappeared south over the horizon. Around 8:17 p.m., multiple calls started coming in from residents of Prescott and Prescott Valley, Arizona, which is about 200 miles southeast of Henderson, which is where the sightings started. I couldn't get any solid numbers, but it's reported that a lot of people called in at that time reporting a craft with 5 lights. Callers reported that the lights were definitely a solid object because whatever it was blocking out the stars behind it. John Kaiser, along with his wife and sons, noticed a cluster of lights to the west-northwest of their position in Prescott Valley. The lights formed a triangular pattern, all of them appearing to be red except the light at the nose of the object, which they said was a bright white. The object or objects, which have been observed for approximately 2 to 3 minutes with binoculars, then passed directly over the family, banked to the right, and then disappeared in the night sky to the southeast of Prescott Valley. They couldn't determine the altitude of the object, but said that the object was fairly low and made no sounds whatsoever.
That's interesting because someone else said it made sound like
a whooshing sound.
Yeah. I guess maybe they were closer.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Also during the Prescott sightings, the National UFO Reporting Center received the following report from the Prescott area. Quote, "While doing astrophotography, I observed 5 yellow-white lights in a V formation moving slowly from the northwest across the sky to the northeast, then turn almost due south and continue until out of sight. The point of the V was in the direction of movement. The first 3 lights were in a fairly tight V, while 2 of the lights were further back along the lines of the V's legs. During the northwest to northeast transit, one of the trailing lights moved up and joined the 3 and then dropped back to the trailing position. I estimated the 3-light V to cover about 0.5 degrees of the sky, and the whole group of 5 lights to cover about 1 degree of the sky."
I noticed that some people said the lights were red. Some people said orange.
Different colors.
Some
A lot of people
yellow.
said different colors. Shortly after the Prescott sightings, 6 people saw a large cluster of lights while driving northbound on Highway 69 in the town of Dewey, which is 10 miles east of Prescott. Another sighting had a mother and her 4 daughters witness this craft hover over them completely quiet, and they said that the craft would occasionally shoot beams of white light down at the ground below it.
That's creepy.
That's very creepy. Around 8:20 p.m., reports of the light formation began to come in from the Phoenix area, including Tempe and Glendale. I love Tempe. That's where my friend Tom, listens to the podcast, lives. Oh. I've been down there, and I just loved it. I didn't think I was going to like Arizona, but I love Tempe.
I've never been there.
Yep, I really liked it. So, trivia question. You might know the answer to this, you might not.
Okay.
There are reports that one of the first people to call in a sighting of the strange lights over Phoenix was a civilian pilot. Any idea who this pilot was?
Would I know his name?
Yes.
A civilian pilot?
A civilian pilot was one of the first people to...
John Travolta or something.
You're closer than you think.
Okay.
One of the first people to call in that there was something weird was a civilian pilot.
I don't know who it would be.
Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah.
The actor Kurt Russell.
Interesting. I didn't know he was a pilot.
Yeah, I didn't either. In an interview on the BBC, he said, quote, "I was flying Oliver, his son, to go see his girlfriend, and we were on approach. I saw 6 lights over the airport in an absolute uniform V shape. I was coming in, we were maybe half a mile out, and Oliver said, 'Pa, what are those lights?' Then I kind of came out of my reverie, and I said, 'I don't know what they are.' He said, 'Are we okay here?' And I said, 'Yeah, I'm going to call it in,' and I reported it. So he reported the sighting to Sky Harbor Airport, the Phoenix airport. He didn't think any more about the sighting until 2 years later when he walked in on his wife, Goldie Hawn, watching a show about the Phoenix lights. When they mentioned the civilian pilot calling in, he realized that was him, even though he had kind of forgotten all about the sighting.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Around 8:30 p.m., Tim Lay and his wife Bobby, his son Hal, and his grandson Damian Turnage first saw the lights when they were above Prescott Valley, about 65 miles away from them. At first, the lights appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arc shape, as if they were on top of a balloon, but they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. Over the next 10 or so minutes, the lights appeared to come closer. The distance between the lights increased, and they took on the shape of an upside-down V. Eventually, when the lights appeared to be a couple of miles away, the witnesses could make out a shape that looked like a 60-degree carpenter's square, with the 5 lights set into it, with 1 at the front and 2 on each side. And that's basically, if you look at a picture, they all look the same. It looks like a, I've seen it described as a triangle. I've seen it described as a chevron, which it kind of is, which it basically is a chevron. And I've seen it described as a carpenter's square. So it's basically...
Which is the one thing I can relate to because my husband works in construction.
Yeah. Soon, the object with the embedded lights appeared to be coming right down the street where they lived, about 100 to 150 feet above them, traveling so slowly that it appeared to hover and was silent. The object then seemed to pass over their heads and went through a V opening in the peaks of the mountain range towards Squaw Peak Mountain and towards the direction of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. Witnesses in Glendale, a suburb northwest of Phoenix, saw the object pass overhead at an altitude high enough to become obscured by the thin clouds. This was at approximately between 8:30 and 8:45, and this is all Mountain Standard Time.
Okay.
At 8:35 p.m., Ozma Linderman and her boyfriend were walking out of her apartment. She noticed strange lights in the sky and pointed them out to her boyfriend. According to their report, there were 5 red lights in a V formation that had perfect spacing between them, and the space between the lights blacked out the stars as it moved by, never making a sound. Then the lights hovered for a second, changed shape into a red oval, and then shot straight up into the sky and disappeared. According to the website UFO Insight, in an article called, quote, The 1997 Phoenix Lights, a case study, another woman, this time in Chandler, to the southeast of Phoenix, claimed that her 9-year-old daughter had seen a traveling beam of light moving through her bedroom. This object was also witnessed by her neighbors, Don and his wife Grace, as it passed over their homes. They would claim to see 7 orange lights in a triangular formation on the underside of a solid structure made up of large gray panels.
Oh, so they actually saw a structure.
Yeah. As they watched, one of the lights detached and moved to the right of the object. It then returned and, quote, redocked with the huge craft. They, too, recalled hearing no sound whatsoever despite the low altitude of the craft and the giant size of it. So there's a lot of sightings of this, and a lot of these people that saw this say that because you couldn't see the stars in between the V's, that it was a solid object, that it wasn't just the 2 wings, it was a solid object.
There's just enough discrepancies, though, that, you know, between the sightings.
Like there's not a lot that say that it turned into an oval and then shot up into the sky. So there's a lot of discrepancy in the sightings, and you can attribute some of that to witnesses.
Somebody heard sound. Most people didn't.
Yeah, so there's a lot of discrepancies.
But a lot of similarities, too. Yep. The shape is definitely...
That's almost like the universal similarity is that triangular shape.
Yeah.
It's the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, but I keep seeing Monthan as Mothman, and I keep wanting to say Mothman.
Interesting.
The Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in nearby Tucson checked and said that it had no planes flying at that time, and that the Phoenix airport reported not picking up any aircraft on radar. So that'll come in play in the theories.
Okay.
Around 8:45 p.m., a report of lights in the sky is received from a man in Tucson, 100 miles southeast of Phoenix. According to the report, the lights were visible for around 10 minutes before disappearing behind the Santa Catalina Mountains. The craft traversed Arizona in 106 minutes, which I don't know if that's a long time or a short time, because a lot of people said it was moving really slow. You know, if you watch the videos of the second event where everybody's got the video of the lights in the sky, it looks like it's not moving at all. Right. It looks like it's just hovering there.
I mean, when I think about when I flew to Kansas, it took an hour and a half to get there from Milwaukee. So
yeah,
that seems like it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
It seems like if it were moving that slow, it was not looking for something, or it wasn't just passing through.
I don't know. We'll get into that when we talk about theories, I guess, or what we think.
Okay.
Dr. Lynn Kitai is a Phoenix area physician that ended up kind of becoming the go-to person and the expert on the Phoenix light sightings. She wrote a 2004 book called, quote, The Phoenix Lights, A Skeptic's Discovery That We Are Not Alone. And she also played Florence, Arizona, the mom of the quintuplets in Raising Arizona. Oh, which I've never seen. I know people love that movie, but I've never seen it.
Is not Jodie Foster?
I just know Nicolas Cage is in it.
Yeah, it's not the right person I'm thinking of. It's Sorvino.
Mira Sorvino?
Yeah, I think she might. I could be wrong. I could have no idea what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I looked up this Lynn Kitai, and she played the mom in that movie, which was kind of cool. But she's kind of become the go-to person. Anytime there's like a panel they talk about Phoenix Lights, she's kind of the person that everybody goes to for stuff. And
so she's an actress / doctor?
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
It's going to bug me, so now I have to look up.
I really kind of want to read her book, The Phoenix Lights, A Skeptic's Discovery That We Are Not Alone.
Yeah.
There's so many books I want to read.
Me too. Oh, man. I have stacks. I'll get to them eventually.
Speaking of which, I finished I think it's called True Crime Junkie, the one that about Maura Murray, the one that what's his name?
Holly Hunter is who I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah.
Did somebody send it to you?
Jen sent us all those
Jen
books.
sent us that. Okay, yeah, I still haven't read that one that I took. I need to put it on my nightstand.
Name?
Make me angry.
Oh, the book True Crime Addict by James Renner about Maura Murray disappearance.
Okay. Wasn't he one of the podcast hosts? James Renner.
No, James Renner. He was also on The Secret. He was also in the episode where Josh Gates first goes to Milwaukee. He was the one that was with Josh.
Okay,
but
yes.
He's one of the ones that gets like ripped on a lot with the Maura Murray stuff because he's convinced that she fled to Canada.
Okay.
But we'll get more.
I knew his name was
We may have an
familiar.
episode coming up shortly where we recap some of our old episodes.
Yes, we need to do that. Lots
not
of
recap,
updates.
but like update.
Like Detloff Pass. There's definitely been some developments
so we're gonna have,
there.
That's probably going to be our season finale.
Well,
just
that'd
so
be
everybody
cool.
knows. Yep.
I like it.
Yep. Okay, Dr. Lynn Kitai. According to the website, thephoenixlights.net, run by Dr. Lynn Kitai, quote, "These are the lights associated with the March 13th event, shortly after 8 p.m., that appeared to be fixed to a large V-shaped or triangular-shaped craft. There are varying witnesses' descriptions of different light arrays, patterns, and numbers of lights which could suggest the possibility of multiple craft or a singular craft that changed as it flew across the Arizona skies. Witnesses all unanimously witnesses all agree that the craft or multiple crafts were completely silent and flew very close to the ground. One craft was over a mile wide, according to hundreds of documented witness accounts." Wow. That's
Well, except that one person who said they heard a sound.
yeah. Yep. Like I said, there's a lot of different.
Yeah.
So that was basically the first event.
That was March.
It was the same night. All these events are in the same night.
It was in April.
Nope. That was in March 13th, 1997.
Huh.
Another Mandela effect?
Totally, because I thought you said April before.
I said
weird.
the sun on April 1st about the Hale-Bopp comet.
Oh, that's probably okay. Yep.
But yeah, March 13th, 1997 is when this happened. So that was the first event. That was a lot of people seeing this pattern of lights move through the sky. So that was...
It was seen in Mexico, too.
Yes.
You? Okay.
Yeah, towards the end of the event, it was seen in Mexico, but I don't actually have that in my notes because I really couldn't find any good accounts of that.
No,
I would just see mentions.
what was on Wikipedia.
I would just see mentions of that it was seen in Mexico. So that was the first event. A lot of people seeing this light pattern flying across the sky, heading in a direction. Then, around 10 o'clock p.m., the second event happened. A huge wave of sightings were reported over Phoenix by literally hundreds or thousands of people. Witnesses saw the lights remain in the air over Phoenix for an unusually lengthy amount of time. Most times, UFOs are there and gone, but in this case, whatever it was just sort of hung out for a while. And
is that what most of the footage is of?
Yeah, and if you go... But it's hard to find actual footage from that because everything... Like when I typed in Phoenix Lights footage, a lot of it is like documentaries, news stories. I wanted to see like actual unedited footage from that night, and I couldn't find a lot of that. A lot of that was tied into other stuff. And where people usually don't have time or forethought to capture any video or photos during a UFO encounter, this time people managed to get a lot of pictures and a lot of video footage.
That does make it stand out from other encounters.
What people witnessed and what shows up in a lot of the videos of the event shows what appeared to be an arc of lights appearing in the sky one by one, then going out one by one, but staying in the sky lit up for quite a while.
Okay.
I mean, it was up there for a while. People thought that it kind of looked like some form of running light or some typically seen aircraft illumination along the leading edge of the craft. Okay. Which I don't really understand because if it's V-shaped, I don't think it really has a leading edge. It has the point of the V.
How do you know?
I don't know, but I kept seeing leading edge, and that kind of never made sense to me. It was estimated to be almost as large as a mile in diameter and directly hovering over the city of Phoenix. According to Wikipedia, quote, "Other similar sequences reportedly taken over a half-hour period showed different numbers of lights in a V or arrowhead array. Thousands of witnesses throughout Arizona also reported a silent mile-wide V or boomerang-shaped craft with varying numbers of huge orbs. A significant number of witnesses reported that the craft was silently gliding directly overhead at low altitude. The first-hand witnesses constantly reported that the lights appeared as, quote, canisters of swimming light, while the underbelly of the craft was undulating like looking through water, which is strange. I mean, it's almost like, I almost think of like
the shimmering effect of
I almost think of like plexiglass, like looking up through plexiglass where it's kind of like shimmering around. You know, I don't know. The lights also appeared to wink out in a mysterious manner. You know, when the lights blinked out at the end of the sighting, it was always referred to as winking out.
Okay. Like, oh shit, they saw us.
Possibly.
We should probably put these lights
probably
on.
Turn our lights off. When the triangular formation entered the Phoenix area, Bill Grenier, a cement driver hauling a load down a mountain north of Phoenix, described the second group of lights, saying, quote, "I'll never be the same. Before this, if anybody told me they saw a UFO, I would have said, yeah, and I believe in a tooth fairy. Now I have a whole new view, and I may be just a dumb truck driver, but I've seen something that don't belong here." Grenier stated that the lights hovered over the area for more than 2 hours.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. That explains why there's so much footage of these lights. But, like I said, in the first event, the lights were moving. The second event, the lights almost look stationary, like they're just hovering there in the sky. Observing or doing whatever it was that it was doing.
When did the movie Signs come out? I just watched it again.
I don't remember.
I
love Signs. Yeah.
Because that happens in that movie too, where the lights, the crafts just hover in the sky over cities all over the world, and then they disappear. Yeah. But they're still there.
Yep. But people said that's what seemed to be happening in the second event, was that it was hovering and then the lights winked out.
Okay.
So now the aftermath.
I'd be really creeped out, to be honest with you. I'd be really freaked out if I were witnessing that.
The thing is, we'll get to this in a little bit, but people kind of weren't, which a lot of people say was weird. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
Now the aftermath. Not long after the Phoenix Lights sightings, Arizona Governor Fife Symington III, which sounds like
he's the director of a cruise ship.
Yeah, sounds like something. Fife Symington III held the infamous, and I remember seeing this the day that it happened, held the infamous press conference where he said he investigated the case and caught the guilty party, after which his aide was brought out onto the stage wearing an alien costume.
Oh, boy.
While the audience laughed and a lot of people thought this was funny, a lot of other people were pissed that he was basically ridiculing their sighting. That
hundreds, possibly thousands
and I remember
of people.
This was kind of a big thing when this happened. So that was my shoe squeaked against the chair.
Oh, okay. Jeez. I'm all jumpy now.
All jumpy.
I swear I just heard someone cough in the hallway, so that's weird.
It is weird. But there was nobody out there. Where were we? Go back to Fife Symington III. So a lot of people were kind of pissed that he was making fun of this.
Was he wearing an ascot? I feel like he should.
He just totally should be wearing
a monocle, maybe,
and like a sailor, not like a captain's cap.
A captain's hat.
Yeah, like a captain's hat. Oh, poor Fife.
No, he made fun of everybody.
I keep getting lost to where I am. A lot of people were pissed. They felt that this was diminishing the incident and that it was making the people who witnessed the lights look stupid. He later stated that as a public official, he felt a responsibility to avert any kind of public panic and made an attempt to introduce some humor into the situation. In March 2007, Symington, we'll call him Symington. In March 2007, Symington said that he had witnessed one of the crafts of unknown origin during the 1997 event, although he did not go public with that information. In an interview with the Daily Courier, I can't say.
I think it's Courier.
Courier. I'll get good at this one of these days. In an interview with the Daily Courier in Prescott, Arizona, Symington said, quote, "I'm a pilot and I know just about every machine that flies. It was bigger than anything that I've ever seen. It remains a great mystery. Other people saw it, responsible people. I don't know why anybody would ridicule it." So he's kind of backtracking and kind of saying, I did see it.
I don't know why anyone would ridicule it except me.
I get his point, though, that he was just trying to make...
That was my microphone.
He was trying to just inject a little humor into like what could be a freaky situation. But it was just...
Poor taste.
Not poor taste, but it was just poorly received.
Yeah.
Symington went on to become a member of several UFO panels and has become a huge proponent of opening up further UFO investigations, which is cool.
He's redeemed himself, I guess.
He's cool. I could just see him in his ascot now, ascot and captain's hat. What I never knew about the story was that the Phoenix Lights, the whole story about it didn't immediately blow up, which was kind of weird. It stayed mostly a local news story with surprisingly little coverage until June 18th, 1997, when USA Today ran a story about it. After the USA Today article, it became a national story, and people were fascinated with
there
it.
was a highly visible, highly anticipated comet passing.
There was.
I believe I saw that comet because I was in Florida.
Yeah.
on what I quote unquote call spring break. We did not do the typical spring break, but we were driving through Florida and we saw this thing in the sky, trail blazing behind it and everything. It was kind of crazy.
Was that?
It would have been 97.
When did that cult kill themselves?
Which one? Oh, the comet one?
Yeah. Was that 97?
Well, what was the name of the cult?
Heaven's Gate?
Was that? Heaven's Gate is where they all... I listened to a podcast on that. Didn't they all... Isn't that the one where they all bought the same kind of shoes
yeah.
and then they drank the Kool-Aid? No, the Kool-Aid is Jonestown, isn't it?
Yeah. Heaven's Gate are the ones that...
It is about the comet, isn't it?
Yeah, because they were waiting for the Hale-Bopp comet because the comet was going to come and carry them away to...
On a spaceship.
A spaceship. Was
Something
that around
like
the
that.
same time?
I don't know. I should know. I listened to an
the
entire
1997
series.
group suicide.
Okay.
So maybe the Phoenix Light story got overshadowed by the Heaven's Gate cult killing themselves. I don't know. But a lot of people said people said it was weird that it kind of remained just a local story.
Especially how many people saw it.
Yeah. So
when did it finally hit like national news?
That was when the USA Today ran the article
Okay.
in June 18th, 1997, which was 3 months later.
That's not too bad, I guess.
No, but it's still, you would assume that.
Yeah.
I feel like today that would blow up instantly.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but back then it was kind of weird that it didn't.
All we had back then was like X-Files, right? There
Yeah,
weren't like a lot.
pretty much.
Now there are so many different shows on about the paranormal and aliens. And it would definitely get much better coverage now.
On April 21st, 2008, the lights were again reported over Phoenix by local residents. These lights appeared to change from square to triangular formations over time. A Valley resident reported that shortly after the lights appeared, 3 jets were seen heading west in the direction of the lights. An official from nearby Luke Air Force...
Fighter jets?
Fighter jets,
okay.
yeah. An official from nearby Luke Air Force Base denied any United States Air Force activity in the area. Then, on April 22nd, 2008, a resident of Phoenix told the newspaper that the lights were caused by his neighbor releasing helium balloons with flares attached. This was confirmed by a police helicopter, and the following day, a Phoenix resident stated that he had indeed attached flares to helium balloons and released them from his backyard for a joke.
But would they have formed a perfect shape?
They did in this case. Or people already, preconditioned by the Phoenix lights to assume that they stayed. But that was kind of a big thing, and then it turns out just some dude randomly.
The thing about the military stuff, though, if they were working or testing out some experimental craft, they're not going to tell you they're doing that.
No, exactly. And now, speaking of that, we get to theories.
Okay.
There are 3 main theories. Theory number 1, aliens.
Aliens.
Yep. A lot of people say that these are either UFOs or this is a UFO.
Okay.
There's a lot of reports about UFOs that start as one craft, but then split off into individual crafts.
And then come back together.
And there were a lot of reports about this doing that some witnesses said they saw. That one light would separate from the rest, come up forward, and then go back to where it was. So there's a lot of people that believe this was one of those kinds of UFOs that does that. And this is basically just looking at the first sighting. The first sighting shows a moving object or objects that are obviously flying along a path.
Okay.
People can say what they want about the second sighting. That was the one that was mostly stationary. But the
first
sighting had moving objects.
Yes.
So
that were blocking out.
Yeah. And there
stars.
were reports of witnesses saying that they saw aliens or heard alien voices in their heads when they were looking at the lights.
What?
Yeah. I heard that on some of the podcasts that I listened to about the Phoenix lights, but I couldn't find anything good online.
That's the first time I've heard that.
But there are people that said they heard alien voices in their head when they were looking at the lights.
What were they saying?
I don't know if they can...
I need more information.
I don't know. One thing that I've only seen mentioned a few times was the fact that people think there was almost some sort of weird mind control thing going on. You would think that people would be freaking out and in a panic, but nobody really was. According to an October 31st article written by a writer named McTavers on Exemplar.com, quote, "One very interesting thing to me is the fact that many of the witnesses did not find the Phoenix lights frightening, but rather had a perception that the lights seemed somehow benevolent." And it is weird that people didn't panic like go into a panic.
Right.
That kind of blows my mind that people didn't. People were just like, oh, that's cool.
I don't know that I'd go into a panic. I would be very like on edge though. Okay, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Do we need to be ready to like run? Like what's going on?
And when you couple this with the fact that there wasn't a lot of hubbub about this sighting, which you would assume there would be, some people think that there was almost some sort of mind control going on. And this always makes me think of Stephen King's book, Dreamcatcher.
Yes.
Not one of his best books.
No, the
but
movie
the aliens
too.
like constantly are like sending out a thought that we aren't here to hurt you. We need help. We need help. We're harmless when they're not harmless.
Right.
You know, but they're sending out that projection as a way of calming you down. And some people think that that's what was going on here. And then there's like the aspects of the craft where a lot of people believe that it was either a solid craft or translucent, that you could see through it, which doesn't sound like anything that we would have here.
I mean, they are working on cloaking technology.
Yeah, they're working on cloaking technology, obviously, but...
Which to me is where that sort of shimmering effect would play into it. Yeah,
exactly. This report came in, and this was from the UFOchronicles.com site. Quote, as the huge V-shaped craft proceeded south, it was almost directly in front of us when my eyes followed the left wing to its end. We live a half-mile south of Chandler Boulevard. The end of the wing was well past that and at least halfway to Ray Road, which is 1.5 miles north. I remember saying to my wife, that son of a bitch is a mile long. As it passed in front of us, all we could see is the left wing. That's how low it was. At arm's length, the object was at least 30 inches plus long. That's pretty long for arm's length. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Hang on.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it being a mile long. That's really big. So it would be a mile, each edge of the triangle would be a mile long. Is that what they're saying?
I think so.
Wow. That's crazy.
But it's hard to determine because he's judging from...
roads.
Not just from roads, but from an arm's length. So I can't really grasp the measurements that this person is using, but he's saying it's huge.
The roads make more sense.
Yeah, he says at arm's length, the object, what is 30 apostrophe? Is that feet or inches?
Oh, that's inches.
Yeah, so 30 inches.
A foot is one apostrophe.
Okay, I thought I didn't want to be screwing it up, but he said it was 30 inches long at arm's length.
So he's judging it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. I don't know how accurate you can
I
be
reported
with that
it was approximately 1.5 miles west of us going down Alma School Road, but the closest part of the huge V, the end of the left wing, was much closer, maybe within a half mile. One thing that I remember the most is how this craft floated approximately 30-40 miles an hour, that it kind of hovered and went really slow.
Mm-hmm. Making no sound.
Yep. There were no visual means of propulsion and absolutely no noise. The altitude and speed of the craft never changed. That night, there was a bright bottom quarter moon setting in the western horizon. I said to my wife, quote, we're going to get more details. Look, it's going right into the light of the moon. But instead of greater detail of this huge craft, what we saw still amazes us. As the front of the V-shaped craft entered the light of the moon, this black chevron-shaped object became translucent in bright light. We could still see the bottom quarter moon through the object, but instead of bright white, it became a dingy yellow. As the V-shaped craft exited the bright moon, it became a solid black object again. We watched as the entire craft passed through this. Seeing a solid object going into and coming out of it was black, but as the craft passed between us and the bright white moon, it was translucent.
Huh.
Which I can't wrap my mind around that. A lot of people said that. A lot of people said... we'll get to in the other theories.
They could see through it.
We'll get into the other theories, but everything makes it sound like this is a solid craft. That it is one solid, they can switch to being translucent, apparently.
Well, that would be a cloaking technology.
Yeah. But they said that this was one solid craft, not 5 individual crafts, as we'll get to in the theories.
So have you watched the documentary on Bob Lazar?
No.
What do you think about him?
I don't know, because remember, we talked about him in the Area 51 episode, and I think we kind of said he sounded kind of sketchy, but now a lot of people are saying that...
I'd watch that documentary.
And now you come around to...
Because I watched it after the Mysteries Decoded episode. It's the only episode where the host, like the detective, former Navy officer, was like, I can't can't explain it.
Yeah.
I can't discount it. And he talked about the technology that they had from the alien craft, because everybody talks about how this thing, there's no propulsion system, and it was like a gravity based.
Yep, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that
Okay,
with our next theory.
Okay.
But going back to being that it's aliens, in the second event, the one that was videotaped by hundreds of people, the hovering lights over Phoenix, UFO researcher Jim DeLaceto ran a spectral analysis on the lights seen in the videotapes and claims that the results confirm that the lights are unlike any known light produced by humans. And also, from the UFOinsight.com site, quote, perhaps one of the most intriguing parts of the whole episode was the claim of small aircraft seen by several witnesses during the course of the sightings. According to reports, these aircraft were United States Air Force F-15 fighter jets. And according to a specific report, these aircrafts were purposely scrambled in an intercept mission from Luke Air Force Base. When the frantic telephone calls began to settle a little, although they continued in a steady stream for a considerable amount of time, a lengthy telephone call came in from someone claiming to have witnessed the jets scrambling. According to the information, the mission of the jets was to intercept the object, which it apparently did over Phoenix, and photograph it with their onboard gun cameras. Once this was achieved, the jets immediately returned to Luke Air Force Base. The mystery caller appeared to be of an official source, quoting the names of officers involved in the mission and their rank, as well as precise times and takeoff details. The base, the caller went on to say, was closed down during the operation. One jet managed to get to within a mile of the object before its targeting radar was somehow neutralized by the strange craft. For their part, Luke Air Force Base denied any such mission took place. Even more interesting was an apparent follow-up call from the mystery caller to say that after he had informed them that he had been transferred to a post in Greenland, effective immediately, and according to their reports, he has not been heard from since.
Well, that's shady.
That is shady.
You would think with the government releasing official footage of UFOs.
But that's now. This was 1997, 98.
Yeah, but those
that was a long
the
time
videos
ago.
they're releasing now aren't super recent. So you would think
True.
that why are they still keeping this stuff secret?
But there are people that say that we did scramble jets because we had no idea what that was, and jets went out to...
Yeah, we wouldn't do that without you don't scramble jets unless something serious is going down.
That's another thing that people say proves that it was an unknown alien craft. Mm-hmm. And then there's theory number 2, which is that it was a secret government aircraft. And one of my big things that I think kind of points to this, and that I don't understand about UFO sightings in general, is why would a UFO need Earth-based lights? That makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. Unless the lights are a byproduct of some kind of propulsion system, why would a craft that was able to fly through the universe get here? Why does it need headlights? I don't understand that.
Right.
That just never made sense to me.
Unless they want us to see them.
Maybe. And a lot of the secret government aircraft theory comes from...
But didn't you just say that someone said that the lights were not produced by humans? It's not technology?
That's what somebody said when they ran a spectral analysis on the lights from the videotape that said that is not our technology that made those lights. Okay. So when you look at secret government aircraft, one of the things that it always comes up is something called Aurora. The story of Aurora started in 1990. Aviation Week and Space Technology magazine published an article in 1990 revealing that the public version of the 1985 Pentagon budget had a mistake where a military censorer was supposed to redact something from the document but didn't. It was an allocation of $455 million for, quote, black aircraft production.
Okay.
Guessing that guy got fired for that.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. That's like reply all on accident.
Yeah. So that's basically top secret aircraft production. And it had the name Aurora by it. Okay. By the late 1980s, many people believed that the U.S. had the technological capability to build a Mach 5 hypersonic speed replacement for the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, which was getting old. By the mid-1990s, reports surfaced of sightings of identified aircraft flying over California and the United Kingdom involving odd-shaped contrails, sonic booms, and related phenomena that suggest that the U.S. had developed such an aircraft. Nothing ever linked any of these observations to any program or aircraft type, but the name Aurora was often tagged on these as a way of explaining the observations. Over time, this craft has progressed into a speculated aircraft called the TR-3A, or the Black Manta. The TR-3A was said to be a subsonic stealth spy plane with a triangular design. It was alleged to have been used in the Gulf War to provide laser designation for Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk bombers for targeting to use with laser-guided bombs, but evidence of the TR-3A is limited to speculations and sightings of triangular crafts near military installations. There is speculation that the TR-3A had been upgraded by this time to a craft known as TR-3B or Astra that propels itself by something called MFD, or a magnetic field disruptor. Also, some speculation about a potential TR-6, otherwise known as Telos, which stands for, quote, transatmospheric electrogravitic low observability. I'm not even going to edit that out. Transatmospheric electrogravitic low observability surveillance platform.
Wow.
Or we'll just call it Telos.
Yeah, let's stick with Telos.
It's believed to be a highly advanced top-secret reconnaissance aircraft that is chevron-shaped and would completely fit the Phoenix Lights sighting. What people are seeing as lights is actually the aircraft's electrogravitic propulsion system. Again, this is all speculation, but a lot of people believe that's what these triangular crafts are, and these triangular crafts are seen a lot all over the world.
So a chevron shape would be more like what a boomerang looks like, right? Okay.
Yes.
Not like a triangle,
but
but
it
more
would be like a boomerang.
Okay.
Basically, you think of like a military, is it a sergeant?
Yeah.
Like the patch that...
It's a chevron.
It's
patches.
a chevron.
Okay.
So these triangular crafts have been seen a lot all over the world, and it seems like they're seen more often.
I have a coworker who saw one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, and he's very hesitant to talk about it. It happened, like, I think, in the early 2000s or something here in Wisconsin. And he said the only reason he will mention it is because other people saw it with him. He's like, otherwise I wouldn't say anything because people think I'm nuts.
That's true.
But yeah, he and a group of people were outside, and it was at night. And this triangular shaped object came up over the trees, and they just stood there and looked at it, and then it was gone.
I mean, I could totally see having something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very common, I mean, not even related to the Phoenix Lights. It's a very common.
One of the interesting things about the Telos, the TR-6 that I just mentioned, was that in the description, or like there's a online... Somebody released this it's like a drawn picture, not like a blueprint.
Okay.
But it says that it's a huge plane, but the wings can actually fold so it can fit into a hangar.
Okay.
Which is really cool. I thought that was really interesting. But these triangular crafts are seen quite a bit. A December 28th, 2018 report made to MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, about a sighting in Shrewsbury, England says, quote, I'm an ex-Royal Navy petty officer and served over 20 years in the military. I retired in 2015. My background was engineering and above-sea weapon systems. I have a strong knowledge of all military aircraft, and I had never seen anything like this before. At approximately 110 hours, I had been walking my dog Jack around fields off Gaines Parks Road in Shrewsbury. I wasn't able to sleep well, and the dog had indicated that he wanted to go out. So as the weather was fairly mild, I grabbed the dog's collar and we went out. As we walked around a field that borders the A5 bypass road, I heard a strange humming noise slightly above and ahead of me. As I looked up, I could make out a very large V or chevron-shaped object, which was literally hovering across the other side of the field I was walking around. It was black and very dull in color, with dim white lights at the tips and a red glow at the center. I estimated it to be well over 100 feet from tip to tip. Jack, my dog, started to get uneasy and whimpered as we walked towards it. But suddenly it started to move, and as it did towards the west, a small white ball of light shot out of it towards the road. As this happened, a large chevron-shaped object shot out a clear white beam of light towards the housing estate I live in on Gaines Park. The chevron then just shot off with a hum and a buzz sound towards the west, and it disappeared from sight. The whole thing lasted about 30 seconds. I would not have been able to get an object on my mobile phone as I only have a basic one and would not have picked up any objects in the sky with it. I am fully aware of all military aircraft, including drones, but this was nothing like I had ever seen before. On looking through the internet at what I could resemble it to, I would most definitely say that it was similar to the object seen over Phoenix, Arizona in 1997. So these triangular crafts are seen quite a bit. Could it be military? Possibly. But if it was a military craft, why was it flying over such a populated area at such an observable time?
Right.
So I don't understand why this would have been there for everybody to see.
Right.
Unless something happened to it, unless they were flying it at a higher altitude and something went wrong and it ended up having to lower. I don't know.
And then hover for 2 hours.
So
what are you going to do? It's probably a multi-billion-dollar piece of...
Yeah, you can't just
You're not just going to
scrap
crash
it in
somewhere.
the ocean. No.
Yeah. And why would jets have been scrambled?
But only that one person said that jets were scrambled, so it might not have happened.
You can't really...
I don't know. I just don't understand. If it was a top-secret aircraft, why was it doing what it was? Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
What is it with Phoenix?
I don't know.
Or Arizona in general?
I don't know. Now we get to theory number 3, which is the big one, that it was not a UFO.
Was it Bigfoot?
It was not Bigfoot.
Dang.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Not a UFO.
No, that it was nothing. It was nothing unextraordinary. So for the
or it was unextraordinary.
Yeah. Start over. So yeah, I don't know where
it was nothing
go.
extraordinary.
It was nothing extraordinary.
There you go.
So, looking at the 2 events as separate events, the first one with the moving craft and the second one with the stationary craft over Phoenix. The theory for the first event was that it was only planes. A June 26,
make loud noises, though.
A June 26, 1997 story in the Phoenix New Times called, quote, "The Great UFO Cover-Up," talks about a 21-year-old astronomy buff named Mitch Stanley. Mitch was out in his family's backyard with a telescope the night of the Phoenix lights. Mitch and his mother, Linda, noticed the lights coming in from the north, so Mitch turned his telescope onto them. According to the article, quote, "Since the lights seemed to be moving so slowly, Mitch attempted to capture them in the scope. He succeeded, and the leading 3 lights fit into his field of vision. Linda asked what they were. Planes, Mitch replied. It was plain to see, he said. What looked like individual lights to the naked eye actually split into 2 under the resolving power of the telescope. The lights were located on the undersides of squarish wings, Mitch says, and the planes themselves seemed small, like light private planes. Stanley watched them for about a minute and then turned away because it was the last thing an amateur astronomer wanted to look at. They were just planes. I didn't want to look at them, Stanley says when asked why he didn't stare at them longer. He is certain about what he saw. They were planes, he says. There's no way I could have mistaken that. Given the description of planes and the lights that he described, the planes sounded most likely to be military, and the squarish wing shape suggested either A-10s or possibly T-37 fighter trainers. But again, the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base said that none of their planes were in the air that night, and nothing showed up on radar at Sky Harbor Airport. Also from the same article, Air Traffic Controller Bill Gravo was on duty on March 13th at Sky Harbor International Airport. He too saw the lights, but not until they were on the southern horizon, slowly disappearing behind South Mountain. The lights were so bright that he thought they might have been flares. He confirms that the object or objects did not register on radar as they passed overhead, a fact seconded by Captain Stacy Cotton of Luke Air Force Base. But both admitted that doesn't rule out the possibility of a group of airplanes. Cotton says that the radar used by air traffic controllers reads signals emitted by transponders in the airplanes themselves. Normally, in a formation of planes, only the lead plane would turn on its transponder so air traffic controllers could track it. If the lead plane's transponder was turned off, the planes could have passed by without detection. Grava says that depending on the plane's altitude, that may have been perfectly legal. All witnesses seem in agreement of one thing, the unusual brightness of the lights. Flight controller Grava says that's the only reason he is reluctant to accept the explanation that it was a group of airplanes that flew over Arizona on March 13th. So it could have been planes that had their transponder turned off, which is why it did not show up on air traffic control.
To me, that doesn't explain how so many people said that it completely blacked out the stars.
Exactly.
And you would hear it.
Yeah.
Planes make noise.
Unless they were very high, and you wouldn't hear it. But
if
a lot of people said that.
Small planes, I guess, maybe you wouldn't hear it.
Yeah, a lot of
people.
But
like a jet that's like you can hear that thing clear as day.
A 2015 article on this.
One thing also, though.
Oh, she's sticking her finger out. She means
Wouldn't
business.
the pilots of those planes just come out and say it was them? I mean, this made such big headlines after a while. You would think they would be like, guys, that was us.
We'll get to that.
Especially if it were legal.
We'll get to that.
Unless they were flying illegally.
A 2015 article on the Skeptical Inquirer states, quote, "As it happens, analysis of the apparently sole amateur video of the formation is instructive." This is the sole video of the first event.
Okay.
Even with enhancement, nothing can be seen to join the lights. Indeed, their pattern changes over even a few seconds' time. The lights clearly move in relation to each other, proving that the lights represent 5 individual separate objects rather than a solid body. In other words, eyewitnesses who interpreted the lights as representing a single massive craft were simply connecting the dots. Reports of stars being blocked out by the perceived craft were probably due to the closer bright lights that outlined a triangular area and made it difficult to see less bright objects within, an optical principle used for stage magician effects known as, quote, black art. So, of course, if the lights on the side were bright, they would dim out anything that you would see in between them, which is why people were saying that it was a solid craft and they couldn't see stars. Because the stars were being dimmed out by the bright lights they were seeing on the sides.
But if this thing was allegedly a mile long on each edge, how would those lights affect what's in the middle?
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not buying that.
I don't know. Then, finally, in the July 1997 issue of the Arizona Republic newspaper, it was reported that when the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in nearby Tucson, who said they had no planes in the air that night, investigated further, they discovered that a squadron from the Maryland Air National Guard had flown in that night for a winter training exercise. If their transponder was off, it would explain the lack of a radar signal. The formation of the 5 aircraft flew along a standard flight route from Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, which had them crossing over the Phoenix area about 8:30 p.m., which is when the lights from the first event were seen. So that's what people say now, like people that are skeptical say that it was a troop of planes from Maryland, that it was them flying in. They had their transponder off for some reason, so nothing showed up on air traffic control. The Air Force Base said they didn't have any planes out because they didn't. This was a separate group flying in from Maryland to run exercises. So people say that that's what that first sighting was simply 5 jets coming in, and the jets that came in were A-10s, which is what the guy that saw them through his telescope, where he described the lights and where they were in the wings, that it sounded like A-10s. So a lot of things do point to this first sighting just being planes.
But he could hear them. Many people said it made no sound. And now you just said this guy said it sounded like the sound that those jets make.
No, that wasn't a sound. It was the lights underneath.
Oh, the lights.
Because when he was looking up through his telescope and described where the lights were on the wings and how the wings looked, it sounded like what A-10s
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And that's what this group from Maryland came flying in on, are A-10s. So everything kind of lines up that this first sighting was just 5 aircraft coming in from Maryland.
But other people said they could see more than just lights. They could see the edge of the craft.
I know. But that's people who say that this was just planes point to that fact. Krista turned up her nose at that.
Coincidence.
You're not buying it, are you?
Nope.
You're not buying it. And then we get to the second event, which is the big one that everybody has seen. And you know what the explanation for that one generally is?
Flares.
This has become the big explanation for the second event of the Phoenix Lights.
Do flares just hover in the sky like that?
The Maryland A-10 aircraft had landed at the nearby Barry Goldwater Range and were said to have dropped slow-falling, long-burning LUU-2B/B illumination flares as part of its exercise. These flares burn at 1.8 million candle power and at a distance of 150 miles still appear brighter than Venus at its brightest. So these are bright flares.
Wouldn't they fall, though?
The hot burning flares usually have a burn and descend time of about 4 minutes, but the heat can create a sort of air balloon effect on their parachutes, which slows their descent. Which makes sense. If it's burning that hot and you're in a parachute, it's going to cause you to slow down your descent like an air balloon. But other people say that the lights were up there for 2 hours.
Yeah. Wouldn't you think there'd be at least one gust of wind that would
you would
blow
think that they would
course?
not have stayed in a standard formation.
Right. I would think that people would have described it as slowly lowering.
Yeah. Yep.
And they didn't. They said it hovered.
What about the spectral analysis of the lights? Skeptical Inquirer article says, quote, Dillasoto claims his spectral analysis demonstrates that they are unlike any known light produced by humans. However, in doing so, he claims to do what cannot be done. A camcorder's representation of a point source of light focused onto an electronic chip and ultimately converted into an analog signal recorded on videotape is unsuitable for spectral analysis. As one critic stated, quote, trying to do spectral analysis on the image produced by a camcorder would be like testing a portrait of Abraham Lincoln for his DNA. Which, I like that statement.
I don't know enough about it.
It's true.
But
I mean,
yeah.
you can't...
Right.
If it was the actual lights, you could maybe run a spectral analysis on them, but not on a videotaped reproduction of the lights.
Right.
I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I get that.
So why would they drop these dangerous hot flares over a densely populated area like Phoenix? Why? I almost said a bad word. Why would they drop these dangerous hot flares over a densely populated area like Phoenix? Dr. Bruce Maccabee, we just discussed him because his wife is the one that was in the tree stand in the Missing 411 episode. Mm-hmm. Dr. Bruce Maccabee did an extensive triangulation of various videotape footage of the lights, ultimately determining that the lights were near or directly over the Goldwater Proving Grounds. So it wasn't directly over Phoenix. The lights were directly over the grounds where these planes were supposedly had landed and were doing these experiments or these operations. What about the strange winking out effect? The winking out effect of the lights were actually the flares falling behind the Sierra Estrella mountain range to the southwest of Phoenix, which couldn't be seen due to the darkness. The Discovery Channel commissioned a scientific test of the flare hypothesis by Leonid Rudin of Cognitech, an image processing firm in Pasadena. Rudin overlaid a witness's video of the Phoenix lights with a daytime video showing the distant Sierra Estrella mountain range. The resulting video shows the lights winking out at the exact moment that they would have drifted behind the mountaintops, just like distant flares would appear to do at night. His work was confirmed by another independent analyst.
I can buy that.
Yeah, I can too, that the lights went out because the flares dropped behind a mountain range you couldn't see, making it look like they just winked out.
Although if they were bright enough, as people said, wouldn't they have illuminated the mountains a little bit?
I don't know. I don't know. And I feel like...
It's not if they were behind the mountains.
I feel like in the footage that I saw, they weren't dropping. They weren't...
No, they were just hovering.
Yeah. So that flares is... I
don't like the flares.
All this is basically written off as the first event are the planes coming in, and the second event are the flares dropped by the planes from the first event. And that's basically what it was all written off at. So... What do you think?
I feel like there are way too many people who gave detailed descriptions of what they saw.
But you also have to realize that eyewitness testimony is very flawed. I mean, I
get that, but I think that if I were looking up in the sky, I would know the difference between a group of airplanes
and a triangular craft.
Especially some people said that it was low. It wasn't like so far up in the sky that you couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah.
They were flying really low.
Yeah. These people the people that witnessed, especially the first event, the people that witnessed the crafts like low and close to them don't question that they saw
a craft.
Hear any
they
sound.
Did not
know. They said a lot of these people are insulted by the idea that they were seeing five jets high in the sky, because they say no, it was low to the ground.
And if they were flying that low, they would have heard them, and they would have been able to discern the fact that they were 5 separate small airplanes.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
I mean,
I believe they saw what they saw. It could have been some kind of experimental craft. I don't know. I mean, I do buy into the idea that UFOs could just be man-made technology that our government is working on. It doesn't mean there's aliens in them, but it's still kind of a mystery because nobody will take credit for it.
No.
And they try to cover it up and deny what people are seeing.
At the end of the day, I don't know. I've bought into each of these theories at a different time. I went into this believing that it was an experimental aircraft. And then once I started researching and reading more stuff, it became like, wow, maybe this was some UFO. This was some kind of strange craft. But now after reading some of the explanations of the flares and all that, that makes sense to me. Yeah. So I don't
like the flare explanation.
I'm sorry to anybody looking for an answer, but I don't know. I really don't know what to make of this.
I think that they saw something, obviously.
Yeah.
I feel I like the question of why, if it were experimental aircraft, why would it be where everybody could see it?
Yeah,
that
unless something was
sense.
wrong with it and it was trying to get back to its secret base where it could be worked on. I don't know.
I don't know. Limping along with a flat tire.
I mean, if I had to pick one of these, I think I would go with experimental craft. I think I just don't see them being flares.
I don't see them being separate.
From the footage I saw, you would think that they would be waving in the sky, waving on their parachutes.
Well, especially up that high.
Yeah.
There's wind up there.
Yeah,
I don't care what it's like down
drift
here.
off, and this did not look. These don't look like they drift. They look like one solid.
Right. They move in
thing
unison.
Moving. So I don't know. I don't think it's. I can understand some of the skepticism because I could see where these could theoretically be flares. But then there's people that think that the first sighting was legit and the second sighting was the government going in to drop flares to say, hey, look, it was all flares.
Sure. I could buy that.
That they're basically doing that as disinformation about the first part of the sighting, which was a legitimate UFO. I don't know. I
just think too many people saw really specific details.
But eyewitness accounts are notoriously.
But why would they all see the same thing?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I do understand the idea of seeing the lights on the side and not seeing anything in the middle because you're blinded by the lights on the side. So I get that. But some of these people are certain that it was a solid craft because they were close enough to it.
I think it's little details like it blocked out the night sky that how do you represent that in a memory? You know what I mean? I don't know. I can understand like witnesses to crimes are notoriously inaccurate when they try to describe like the person who committed the crime. It's often really bad.
Yes.
But this is different. You're not trying to remember the size of someone's nose and their hair color and what they were wearing and what were their eye color.
But maybe if you read enough accounts that somebody else said it was a solid craft because I couldn't see anything, you might start to think that maybe you didn't see that either, and then you start to convince yourself that it was a solid craft.
But weren't these people all calling it in and describing the same thing in the moment?
They were.
How would that be influencing? How would someone else influence you in the moment like that?
I don't know. I think it.
I can't say what it was. I feel it was not separate airplanes. And I feel it wasn't flares. Other than that, I think people saw something.
UFO. You're saying UFO or
UFO
government
just means
top secret,
unidentified flying object.
Yeah, it was a UFO regardless.
Yes.
You're saying aliens or top secret military aircraft.
That's what I'm going with.
I just feel like if we had that kind of top secret aircraft, there would be more traces of it.
It's not very top secret if there are.
No. But also, why say it is a top secret craft? Why did it have to have the lights on where everybody... If it didn't have its lights on, people might not have even seen it.
They would have not
So
known
why did
it
have the lights on?
That's why it leads...
if it's aliens, why do they need lights? I don't know.
They don't want to hit a deer? I don't know.
I don't know. A space deer.
A goose?
I have no idea.
Maybe it was a flock of geese and their eyes were glowing.
If I had to pick one of these, I would go with experimental craft. But why it was there, why it didn't have its lights off.
They're not being very stealthy about it.
No, that is not being very stealthy. I don't know. At the end of the day, this basically has been written off as nothing, as flares and airplanes.
I don't think they've proven that, though.
So some of the articles I read said that this is like a long-running joke in the Air Force community and stuff, that this was nothing, but everybody is thinking it was UFOs.
Give us the proof, then.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what this was. It's a really interesting story.
It is.
But
to have so many people witness something.
At the end of the day, I don't know.
No,
I'm going with top secret aircraft.
I'm going with
Okay, Krista's giving a shrug.
Yeah.
So we're going to end this with this quote from Lynn Kitai. She says, quote, "Most anomalies can be explained. I must stress that only a small percentage cannot. Just because we don't have the technology yet to definitively define what these things are doesn't mean that they're not real. We may just be looking on the AM dial for an FM frequency."
Oh, I love that.
So do I. That's why I try to end with a cool quote that I stumbled across. So that's the one for this one. We may just be looking on the AM dial for an FM frequency.
Yep, I like it.
So what do you guys think? The Phoenix Lights, what are they?
Are you from Arizona?
Did you see them?
We want to hear from you.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Do you think these were flares and planes? Do you think it was an experimental aircraft? Do you think it was aliens out for a joyride buzzing Phoenix?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Let us know what you guys think.
Or if you've seen a triangular craft at any time in your life.
Yeah, there's so many reports of triangular
Mm-hmm.
crafts. It would make sense that it was a top secret, but I feel like there would have been more leaks about what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But like we always say, the military and the government are 15 years ahead of whatever we think is current right now. So who knows? Who knows what it was?
And if they truly have the alien technology, who knows what they're developing?
Exactly.
Do we have questions? Are we going to do questions?
We are going to go back to doing a question.
Whoa.
We haven't done a question in a while.
We have a question?
I hope so.
That'd be awkward if we didn't.
It would be awkward if we did. We're going to do 2 questions today. The first one by Anonymous. True or false? Butterfingers are neither butter nor fingers.
True.
It is true.
They are delicious.
I love
a
lot of people hate that they changed them now.
They changed it?
Yeah, it's a different recipe. It's more
flaky.
It's less flaky, I feel.
Oh, you think it's less flaky?
And I think it's more peanutty. Or like it has like a richer peanut flavor.
I've never noticed.
I like the new ones because the old ones would get stuck in my teeth all the time after I ate them and it would drive me nuts.
I still do though.
Yeah, but the new ones I really like.
As a kid, that was my absolute favorite candy bar was Butterfinger.
Mine was always Reese's peanut butter cups.
Now it's Take 5. I love Take 5.
I like Take 5s too.
So good.
But no, they are neither butter nor finger.
No,
I don't really know where they got the finger part from when they named that. Butterfinger I could kind of understand from peanut butter because it is peanut buttery.
Yeah. Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
No, you got that right. And now, question number 2. Do you believe in true love?
Define true love, though. I don't know. I feel like I'm with a person almost 23 years now that I would literally die for.
Me? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I was actually talking about my husband, but yeah, I guess true love is, I guess I do believe in it because I feel like I have that because, I mean, we've been through so many things, ups and downs, and no matter what, I'm always going to be there.
But do you think that was the person that was meant for you? Do you think that there's one person out there that is your one true love, your soulmate? Yeah, I mean, basically, do you believe in soulmates?
I think there's soulmates in different capacities. Like, I have girlfriends that I would consider my soulmates because we will be friends forever.
Yeah.
And we'll love each other no matter what. It's like an unconditional love kind of thing. I don't know. The thing is, the idea of that is like if God forbid something bad would happen to your spouse, do you really think you'll never find anyone ever again because they were the one you were supposed to, so you just spend the rest of your life alone?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think we have the capacity to have true love with multiple people and
I do
have
too.
multiple soulmates.
I think that's more kindred spirits than, I think there's people in your life that you are supposed to meet for a reason. And those are kindred spirits. But a soulmate, I think, is somebody that you are supposed to love and everything that comes with that,
I do believe in it because I have that with someone. Yeah. But that's not to say that if, one of us were gone, the other wouldn't be able to find that with someone else.
Yes.
Maybe, this is so morbid to talk about because the idea of my husband dying is like
frightening.
Oh my gosh. I can't even think about that. But maybe once, your current soulmate passes to another plane, a new soulmate enters the picture. Maybe they can't walk the earth at the same time.
Yeah, I love that idea. I really do.
But, yeah, I don't know.
I do believe in it.
I believe in true love, yes.
It hasn't happened for me, and I don't think it's going to happen for me, and I think there's a reason why it won't happen for me.
You won't let it.
Whatever. You don't know me.
Kurt gets a crush on someone. As soon as they give him any attention back, I don't like them anymore.
You do know me.
Yes.
But, I think it's tied in with the kindred spirit. It's the kindred spirits idea that there's people we are meant to meet, and this is kind of ties in with it, but it's kind of an aside. Like my best friend,
destiny.
My best friend Miranda.
Yeah.
Half my age. And I never would have met her. But when Aaron and I went, one of my other best friends, Aaron, when we went geocaching the last time, we were talking about this because I met Aaron when he was 14.
Okay.
And this sounds like a sketchy story, but it's not, I swear. When he worked at a grocery store, he cleaned the meat department at night, and I was a supervisor there. So Aaron and I became friends when he was 14. And we were friends. And then over the years, he got married, and we kind of drifted apart and went years without even talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And one night, a bunch of us went out to Seven Lakes in Whitelaw for all-you-can-eat pizza. Ooh. And we went out there, and Aaron just happened to be out there with his girlfriend at the time. So we were standing at the bar catching up and talking, and I told him that I had just broken up with Natalie, who I was dating at the time, and that we geocached. And I told Aaron about geocaching, and he said, that sounds dumb, but call me. I want to call me and we'll go. And then he broke up with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And one day I went out to get one that was near where he lived. So I called him. He was hungover as hell. So I grabbed him and we went and got this geocache. And he got hooked like from the very first moment. It was like all the time calling me, let's go geocaching. Let's go geocaching. So then we became super close again. And that was when I lost my previous job. And because he was a supervisor where I work now, he got me into where I work now. And I met Miranda because she worked with me at where I work now. So basically, Aaron said, if we wouldn't have coincidentally been at Seven Lakes for pizza that night separately, but ended up there together, I would not know Miranda because he knows me good enough to know that I never would have went there and applied unless he got me in there. So he said because of that one random night going out for pizza, I met Miranda. Mm-hmm. Which is so weird to me when you think about the connections in our lives that lead us to other people. Mm-hmm. There's strangers, there's people that listen to the podcast that I'm very good friends with now that I would never have known otherwise. Right. So I'm just like fascinated by that. And that's where I think the kindred spirits, that there's people that you meet that you are supposed to meet. And I think I do believe in true love. Mm-hmm. I just think it's not for me. For like, maybe like you said, I won't
It's the empath thing too.
It is the empath thing too.
Yeah.
But I do believe in true love. I know people that have true love, but I also feel like people today are willing to squander that looking for something better or different. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but I just said that off the top of my head. I think people expect the Notebook. The movie The Notebook. Not like that. It's not like that.
Real life and real love isn't like that.
No, and that's one of the bad things about those kinds of movies or books.
Really high expectations and unrealistic expectations.
It's the same with porn. Right. It gives you a very unrealistic idea
what sex is like.
You know? So I do believe in true love. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I believe in kindred spirits, which are people that we're supposed to be friends with. Where soulmate is our person that we are meant to spend our life with. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it hasn't happened for me. But like Krista says, maybe that's because I'm completely shut off from the idea.
Closed off to it.
She doesn't know me at all. So thank you for
interesting question.
A very interesting question. So thank you so much.
Anonymous person.
And now on to the deets.
Oh, no, pickle joke.
Oh, we got a pickle joke.
He's really trying to squash my pickle joke.
It actually made Krista laugh out loud, so it's got to be okay.
Well, I'm going to do two because they're quick. So how does a pickle learn?
How?
It uses its brine.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
The one that made me laugh out loud. Why did the pickle close its eyes?
Why?
It saw the salad dressing.
I like
the salad dressing is putting like her clothes on. He's being a gentleman.
That's good stuff.
That was pretty good. Not too bad.
So our deets, you can email us at thestrangesessions@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at Strange Session without the final S. Krista does a great job on Instagram at The Strange Sessions, and we have quite a few Instagram followers.
We're approaching 400.
Wow. And if you have postcards or want to send us something, please send us something at The Strange Sessions, P.O. Box 434, Manitowoc, Wisconsin, 54221-0434. And I am pleading with you to leave us a message because I feel bad for our little phone line that is lonely because nobody has called it since God knows when. It
leads a meaningless life.
It does. It really does. It needs you. We should have like a Sarah McLachlan song playing in the background.
Right.
This neglected phone line needs you. It is 920.
ASPCA.
Somebody said it's a really like Wisconsin thing to say 920.
I said that the last episode.
Okay.
I'm like, that's
I
so
knew I heard that
Wisconsin.
somewhere. Is it really?
Yes.
Other places don't say O.
They would say 920.
Oh.
You're not dialing the letter O.
No, but that's good point.
Another Wisconsin thing I'm going to point out, because I have a Packer sweatshirt on. We are part of the team. So we're playing this team coming up. We got that touchdown. We.
Oh, yeah.
Fans act like we were actually part of the game.
Don't people say that all over that we got a touchdown?
So. No, I don't think so. Everybody refers to their team as their, like the Eagles. Oh, the Eagles did this, they did that. We say we.
We do some
like
weird
we
things.
were part of the game.
We do some weird things here.
We do.
So please call our phone line at 920-443-9602.
I say 920, man.
I'm just gonna
own it.
I'm gonna own it. 920-443-9602. Give us a call. So from Krista and I in the old school media studio, until next time,
stay strange. This has been an Old School Media production, executive produced by Kurt Konechny. For more information and content, please visit strangesessions.com.